Well, how do you do, fellow shrimp keepers? It's been a hot minute. I have got some new things going on in the fish room, particularly this 40 breeder and that 40 breeder, which I've set up a little bit more than a month or two ago. I have them more or less cycling at the moment. And these two things are going to be special tanks for Sulawesi cardinals and some other sort of Sulawesi type shrimp in this tank. So let's talk about what's going on. So here's the dealio. When I tried Sulawesi cardinals a few times, I got them to breed and I got them to go good for a few months, but inevitably every time I've tried just a small colony of them, they've all passed away and I could never really seem to figure out why. Parameters were always usually pretty on point, but what I think happened is, quite frankly, Sulawesi cardinals need the space. And they need the space because they need to feed on biofilm. And biofilm just grows on surface area. So the more surface area there is, the more biofilm there is to accumulate, and thus more food for them to eat. You can try and teach them to eat regular pellet food, but it takes a very long time, and there's no guarantee any of the shrimp will actually do it. I have had some shrimp do it before that were Sulawesi cardinals, but as you can tell, it didn't really work out so great. So what am I doing different this time around? Well, this time around, I once again did an artificial cycle, which means I took ammonia, put it in the tank, and then I took some bacteria to eat that ammonia, convert it to nitrite, and then have bacteria convert the nitrite to nitrate. And that creates the cycle. But I did something a little different this time. See, instead of feeding pure ammonia into the water, and don't worry, I did it without any of these guys being in here. This just happened like a few minutes ago. I used Bacter AE. Because Bacter AE is just a bunch of microorganisms that facilitate the growth of biofilm, which is what I want. But as a side effect, when you dose Bacter AE, it creates quite a lot of ammonia. So I figured if I had to get ammonia in the tank anyway to start the cycle, well, I might as well start it with something that's also going to do something else for me. In particular, start that biofilm nice and good. And that is what I used to feed the bacteria in these tanks. So hopefully, with a few months of bacterial growth on the sponge filters to get it nice and cycled, and all these months having the biofilm grow as much as I can, when I introduce Sulawesi cardinals in here, they'll have plenty to eat. Now, I can supplement this by adding rocks and stuff to the tank. That will be additional surface area. I haven't decided if or what I'm going to put in this tank yet. I might 3D print some fun things and put them in here, but nothing concrete as of yet. I got a nice heater in here. This tank is nicely temperature controlled. And as of right now, I have got a good cycle established. And I've got my Sulawesi snails in here, otherwise known as rabbit snails or elephant snails, whatever you want to call them. The point is they come from the same region as the shrimp that I'm going to get. So I figured, you know what, I've had these guys for a really long time and they haven't really been breeding. And I think part of the reason why is they were constrained to small tanks, 10-gallon tanks. There's not a whole lot going on in there. I can feed them, but they need space. These little chonkers are actually quite big for what they are. So putting them in the 40 breeder really gives them room to stretch their mouth, foot, whatever you want to call it on a snail. I still haven't decided what to call it. But I'm hoping that'll help them feel better and facilitate the breeding as well as the temperature. I put some food in here for them to nom 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 on, but they were just put in here a few minutes ago. They found the food. He's nomming. He's doing good. They were just put in here a few minutes ago. So they're still getting their footing. But the plan is to continue breeding rabbit snails, homebred, so that way they're not taken from the wild. It takes forever to breed rabbit snails. But once I have enough, I should be able to offer them to the community at a fraction of the price as what you get from the big box stores, and know they're locally and responsibly bred. So it just takes a little time, a little love, and a little bit of patience. So, yeah, that's the plan with these 40-gallon tanks. They're still a work in progress. I still need to get a lid for both of these tanks, because as of right now, the water evaporation is pretty intense. It should be up to the black line right there in terms of how much water I have in the tank, but well, water gonna evaporate. And as you can imagine, it's a bit of a task filling these tanks up. All the tanks in this fish room now use RO water remineralized with salty shrimp, and each species of shrimp has their own mixture of salt and water for their particular tank tailored to their species. These 40-gallon tanks took forever to fill up and get ready. So, as you can imagine, doing water changes and topping off the water takes a little bit of time. So once I get those lids, I'll still be evaporating, but I'll be able to trap the evaporation to recondense into water that'll drip back into the tank. So that's the plan. Hopefully these dual sponge filters do good. Each sponge filter is rated for 20 gallons. It's a 40-gallon tank, so I think we're good. So, yeah, wish me luck, guys. I'll be sure to keep you updated on the journey once I get some more scramps. And hopefully this time will be the time where I get it right. Aquariums, there's a learning process, and, sometimes you fail, but that's okay. As long as you learn something from it, keep on chugging.